Welcome to a brand new edition of ACC Baseball Etc, presented as always by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Listen up. In honor of their service and support for our country, Academy Sports and Outdoors is providing 10% off for military, veterans, and first responders in-store or online through July 4th. You can always enjoy free in-store pickup on online orders. Redeem your 10% off at your local store with a valid military, veteran, or first responder ID, or online at academy.com/discount. Exclusions apply, but again, it's academy.com/discount for details. I'm Daron Vaught. Danny Graves is here, the Miami Hurricanes Hall of Famer, Cincinnati Reds Hall of Famer, Banana Ball Hall of Famer. They haven't set that up yet, but I'm sure they will at some point, and no doubt you'll get in. Should we start there? Should we start with the Savannah Bananas experience? You played for them, as they typically do, right? They'll get local legends, per se, whenever they are in certain places. So, for instance, when they were in Charlotte, North Carolina, closer to my neck of the woods, they were at Bank of America Stadium, which is where the Carolina Panthers of the NFL play. Well, we don't have a Major League Baseball team, so they got a bunch of the former Panthers guys, like Greg Olson played and Luke Kuechly played, I think. But, man, at Great American Ballpark, they had a list of guys, yourself included, Sean Casey. Mm-hmm. I saw Bronson Arroyo even gave a musical performance, right?
Yeah, for an entrance for one of the players. And Todd Frazier, Todd Father, he was there.
Yep.
Yeah, so four of us. They didn't have any of the Bengals guys because they just left camp like a couple days before the Bananas got there. So, but yeah, in Charlotte, they were sold out both nights, right? Like, I think however many they hold.
It was the talk of the town.
I
don't know the attendance numbers, but you're right. It was packed. It was sold out. And of course, setting it up at a football stadium, they had the fun element of the picture that went viral. It's that short porch and because you're working on a 100-yard rectangle rather than a conventional baseball spot. So,
well, they had in Clemson, they had the short porch and left.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it was pretty sweet. It's insane what they're doing, these guys, the Banana Ball, Jesse Cole. Like, people are going nuts for this, Darren. It's one of those things that you watch on TV or you see highlights of, and you think, okay, that's pretty cool. That's kind of funny. Oh, I love the umpire. He's dancing and all these different things. But then when you're there in person, seeing everything, it's insane, man. It is nonstop action. It's nonstop. There's music going on all the time. There's somebody dancing. There's somebody doing trick plays. Because the first day, I was there both days in Cincinnati, and the first day I got to spectate and go on the air. I did the color with them up in the booth. I'll tell you about that part in a second. I'm sure you heard about this, but so yeah, like I got to enjoy it really just by observing everything the first night. So when I was in the booth, Sean Casey obviously was getting his little at bat, and they wanted me to be in the booth when he was taking his at bat. So we're talking. I don't even remember if I said on the air ahead of time, like, I just don't want Casey to get hurt. Please don't get hurt. So ball 4 comes and he starts taking off, and you can hear me screaming from the booth on the replay saying, "Casey, stop. No." And then there he goes, blows his hammy, tears it right off the bone. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. Only Sean Casey can this happen to.
Yeah.
It was awful.
So, okay, walk me through. This is a game I think most of our listeners are aware of. Banana Ball. They play with different rules, that sort of thing. I saw you retired the side for the inning you pitched. How many did you pitch? Was it more than that or just an inning?
It was 2/3 actually. So
2/3. Okay. So you finished aside, and the third out, the center fielder just flipped when he caught it.
Yes. I didn't even see it.
Right.
I didn't see it happen. Like, that's what I'm saying. You can be there, be a part of it. You still don't get to see everything because something's always happening. And I'll go walk you through the whole. The plan was for me to just pitch a third of an inning. So the pitcher ahead of me was supposed to get 2 outs. They were going to bring me in for a third. And just, I guess that's what they do with the older pitchers. Like they bring him in to get just 1 out. Well, he gets somebody on and he gets an out. Somebody gets on base and then they're like, oh no, he's hurt. Who are we going to bring in? And I'm standing in the tunnel right behind the dugout, waiting for my turn for them to announce me. I'm like, oh, come on, I'll go. I'm ready. Thinking I'm like 25 years old again. I'll do it. So I go out and I start warming up and I'm like, man, this is far. And when I warmed up in the tunnel, I didn't warm up on the mound. It was just flat ground and like in the batting cage. So I'm playing catch. My arm feels great. Like I'm spinning some curveballs and like it's popping, the gloves popping because it's echoing. And I'm thinking, man, I feel good.
Yeah.
So I get out there and it looks so far. Professor, I'm telling you, I feel like they moved the plate back a little bit from when I used to play because the first batter I faced, I bounced like the first 2 or 3 pitches. I couldn't get it there. And I didn't know if it was because the balls were scuffed or just I didn't have what it took to get it there anymore. Finally, I made an adjustment.
It was the ball.
Yeah, the ball was scuffed for sure. And it was like going straight down. So I actually ended up making an adjustment. Well, here, let me go back. The first guy I walked on 4 straight pitches. And of course, there's no walks because banana ball, if it's ball 4, you run and the defense has to, everybody on the field has to touch the ball.
Yeah.
So the batter decides that he wants to try to go to second. So they throw it around and they tag him out at second. I get an out without throwing a strike. So that was my first out.
Nice.
And then eventually the guy hits the ball to center field. And when he hit it, I turned around and I looked, I'm like, oh, he's got a beat on it. So I was walking off the field, like just happy to be done. And then somebody asked me later on, like, dude, I can't believe he caught it like that. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I had to go back and look at the replay and see that he did the flip. It was unreal, man. Like it was pretty exciting.
Last thing on the banana ball, and then we'll get into Savannah Bananas tangent stuff. I am fascinated by them as a product. Like I love baseball, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I also am a big professional wrestling fan. And it is not in the way that like I wear t-shirts of my favorite wrestlers and I'm like obsessed with them and I get emotionally invested in these ways. I love watching it because of the production. And in my mind, the logistics of it are just fascinating because it is scripted. And I liken the Bananas to like a Harlem Globetrotters. Mm-hmm. And having been to see the Globetrotters play a couple of times, it's sort of the same thing. It's fascinating in that a lot of it is scripted. So from the inside, I'm curious from your perspective, because you say you were supposed to face 1 batter, but they had to make an adjustment because of an injury. This is the sort of thing that happens like in a pro wrestling ring all the time, right? Like if a match ends early because there was an injury, a real injury, you gotta make up that time because you're on cable TV or network TV or whatever.
Right.
To what degree, from your perspective, was it like, oh no, the point of, you're gonna pitch to 1 batter, it's gonna be this kind of batter, they're gonna do whatever shtick or what have you, right? Like I'm fascinated at how much of this is planned ahead of time.
So the scripted part, it's scripted only because they have to finish within 2 hours, right? That's the time limit. That there's actually a clock that runs and they have to be done in 2 hours. So they pretty much have every inning kind of scripted to where it needs to start and finish by this time. And then, in between innings, changing field, or going in the field, going in the dugout. They script those parts as some are longer in between innings than others because some they dance and some they don't. But as far as like the actual play, like with the Globetrotters, I went to see them too when I was a kid. They're going to win. it doesn't matter. They're going to do all these fancy tricks and the other team's going to compete a little bit, but they're going to win every game. Bananas don't win every game. They actually lost this game. And it might have been because of me, because I let the other guy's runner score. But I say don't leave your runners out there, right?
Right. Yeah. Come on.
So
interesting. All right. So there's no, and I'm not suggesting that like the fly ball to center field was intended to be a fly ball. Like baseball, it's just so much harder to script it that way, right?
Yeah.
Like,
if it was scripted, I would have said, have him hit him back to me so I can catch it behind the back and like do some kind of trick. Yeah. So the baseball actual playing part is not scripted. So it's the scripted stuff is like the walk-up stuff, the walk-up songs or walk-up dances. When a team scores, like the tailgater scored this inning that I came in when I gave up the other dude's run. Well, the whole team came out and had a celebration at the plate for scoring a run. And that's like 30 seconds long. So your 30 seconds is up and see you later. Like those parts are scripted. Certain innings, they have the pitchers and the fielders dancing together, the umpire dancing together. That's scripted. But once like you throw the ball, you can't script trick plays. In fact, the center fielder missed one that he flipped, but he went back and did it again. So, scripted plays, you would think, oh, this is a piece of cake. We'll get it every time. But I mean, they miss it and it still counts as an error, and the guys keep going around.
Yeah. I love that element of it because again, like baseball is a game. It is impossible to script. I used to laugh at people who would say in a World Series or whatever that it was rigged or and it's like, do you know how many variables there are? Like putting a ball in an exact spot. And if it's supposed to be a home run, the guy like actually connected. Anyways, there's
well, you could script striking out because you can make yourself not hit the ball.
Right.
But that's
it.
About it. Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't script he rolls over on one to third and they turn two. Like that's just impossible. So, I mean, I know people compare it to the Globetrotters, which is very entertaining, but there's a lot that is still real because the Bananas don't win every time. That right there should tell you that they're not 1,000-0. That's kind of cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we should probably talk some College World Series.
All right. Yeah. That's probably a good idea.
Was our only team. Louisville was our only team from the ACC in the field. I just think Eddie King Jr. was on the last episode. I love it for him. Yeah. I love it for Dan McDonnell. I love it for so many of our favorites on that team because we had a lot of them. And it was a good team that kind of flew under the radar this season, which I think is, I've talked about this off the air with a lot of people, just about sort of the state of the college game. I love the bounce back for parity in college baseball this year that we had, right? Coming off of 4 SEC, 4 ACC in the field in Omaha last year. We get 6 different conferences represented plus an independent in Oregon State this year. But I think even when you narrow in the scope to the ACC, we didn't necessarily have a dominant team all year, but North Carolina going in was the number 1 team in the country going into their super regional, and they didn't get there. Louisville, again, was a good team, a ranked team for the majority of the season, yet kind of went under the radar because they weren't North Carolina. They weren't Clemson for that first half of the year. They weren't Florida State. So it's cool to me that if we were going to get one representative, that's who it became ultimately.
Yes. And I think that's why, for me, having Louisville there and I felt like they played really good baseball. They represented very well. Nobody would have thought that they would have played 4 games in Omaha.
To that point, quickly, 3 guys on the all-tournament team.
Yes.
As a team that did not make the final, 3 guys on the all-tournament team. That's impressive.
Yeah, and LSU had 4, right? They were the only team that had more. Yeah, very impressive. But in years past, when I think my expectations of teams in the ACC that are there, like when Wake was there, I think last year when North Carolina and Florida State were both there, like you had that feeling of, oh, this is the year that ACC is going to make some noise and either get to the final or win a championship. Especially the year that Wake was there with LSU, that Rhett Lauder and Paul Skeens, and when I left, it was almost like heartbroken because I was so invested and I felt like these were the teams that needed to be there and needed to represent. Well, this year, Louisville just made us so happy because of the way that they played and the way that they showed how good they were on the national stage as the only team in the ACC. Like, I wasn't heartbroken. I mean, yeah, it sucked that they lost, but I felt like they really showed a lot of who they were, as a program with Coach McDonald. I know that he's said in the past that some players have left, gone into the portal, players that committed, they decommitted, whatever you say, however you call that, because of them not making it to the regionals the last couple of years and kind of getting hosed on that. Hopefully this run that they made this year will prove to them that Coach Mack is for real, and man, I love that dude. I love what he did for this program. But yeah, I really feel like Louisville, they had such a good team. They just kind of ran out of pitching. That bottom line, I feel like they ran out of pitching. And the one game that they were up 6-3 in the 9th, and if they can get out of that without using Tucker Biven, I think they had a good chance against Coastal that next game, because Coastal puts up 6 in the first inning and then really nothing else. They were quiet the rest of the game. Their pitching is what made them so good throughout the season.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a really fun group, a great season to look back on. I think for the entire game, I mean, God, like we had Murray State in Omaha. Yeah. Like that is so good for college baseball. And not a single team that was in Omaha last year was there this year. That to me is great for college baseball.
Yep.
And, I think there are some favorites from the field from this year that will be, again, favored to get there again. But I don't know if we had the same sort of thing happen next year. I don't mind that. Like, again, it's to me, it beats, as fun as the conference battle SEC, ACC was last year. This is the way that ideally it would be every year. You know what I mean? Like turn over 8 new teams, 8 new programs every single year. Yeah. And everybody gets a little bit of shine like that. That's the way ideally it would pan out for the good of the game.
Absolutely. And, even if it was the team that wins the championship, they don't make it the following year, so that you're not going to have a back-to-back champion. You know what I mean? Like that's,
although that can be good too, right? Like dynasties can be good for sports.
I can tell you that former LSU players are not happy that LSU won again right now, because they still have a long way to go to beat the 90s teams.
Yeah. But
I think they feel like the players these days are thinking that they're the best LSU players ever. Well, the late 80s and 90s, the Skip Bertman years were really good. I don't think they understand how good they were.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to say any names of the LSU players, but we could probably, who I've been hanging out with a lot. So
I know who you, who's in your circles. Yeah.
There's multiple that were there that said the same thing. But like, I think last year when there was 4 from each side, from ACC and SEC, if it was 4 ACC in one bracket and 4 ACC or SEC in the other bracket, that I think would have been better, because you knew that there was going to be 1 against 1 at the end. But at the end of the day, I love what you said. Like, you got 8 teams that weren't there last year, and you got teams that probably nobody ever heard of. Like, who would have thought Murray State had a baseball team this good, going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're a sicko who's into it like we are, and knows what they've been, then yeah.
Right. But there were so many people there just to see Murray State and have no ties to them. Yeah. That's how you bring college baseball fans into it.
Murray State, by the way, very respectable effort in the Rocco's Jello Shot Challenge. I did not expect that out of Murray State.
It's Kentucky, Daron.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
They like to drink in Kentucky a little bit.
So, all right. So LSU, the champions, congrats to them, of course. Just a great run. They were a lot of fun to watch. I know you as a pitcher love, but as a pitcher, holy cow, dude. Like, we got the Gage Wood no-hitter. Mm-hmm. We got a 3-hit shutty from Kate Anderson in game 1 of the final. Yeah. Coastal's pitching, even in the losing efforts, was good.
Yeah.
Because they've got some pros pitching for the Chanticleers. I mean, like a historically low number of home runs there at Charles Schwab Field this year. It was good, man. I felt really good about the event as a whole.
It was really good as a whole. I mean, there was so many games that were actual games. Like, there weren't blowouts in the second inning. You're like, oh gosh, can't wait for this game to be over. Like, there was always excitement in all the games that we watched. And for LSU, I don't know what it is, but whatever they do during the season, when they get to Omaha, they're a completely different team. Like, you can just feel the aura around them, and especially their pitching. That dude throwing 101, 102. What was he like during the season? Because he should have been doing that the whole season. What I mean? And maybe he was. I don't know.
He was throwing that hard. Chase Shores is the guy you're talking about for LSU.
Yeah.
But he had some control issues early on, and there was a point in the season where I don't think this is an exaggeration. Like, if you were an LSU fan, like, you did not want him pitching.
What?
Because he was just off. And I mean, this comes with having the loads of talented pitchers that they have. So it's like, okay, if he's not on, okay, cool. We got another guy who tosses 96, 97. Let's put him in there. To your point, he was dominant, and that's who threw the final out of the College World Series in a year where he had his ups and downs. But they just rise to the occasion. And I think I saw it editorialized a lot that there's just a belief within this program. And Jay Johnson is a huge part of this, of course. Mm-hmm. But like they believe they are the premier program in college baseball. And I think there's something to that, even if it is, kind of a just like fluffy thought. It matters. It makes you rise to these occasions when you think that way.
Well, yeah, it is what it is. He can just go to a recruit and say, hey, the last 2 times we've been in Omaha, we brought home a national championship. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and it's happened 2 out of the last 3 years. And, if you're here 3 years, maybe you can get 2 of them. Who knows, right? Like,
right.
Anyway, it was. Well, I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed myself watching, sort of as a fan, covering to some extent, I guess. But it was a great College World Series.
Yeah, and I think I loved it too, because obviously we want more ACC teams in, but with having just Louisville, we focused just on Louisville, and like we were locked into every move they made, every every second of the day was in our minds, we were Louisville. And it was awesome. It was really cool.
Yeah. That's a fun, different assignment work-wise compared to the last year, right?
Yeah.
You were the Louisville broadcast team, basically.
Yes. Yeah. So we actually hung out with Stephen Williams, the SID from Louisville, before every game, kind of getting the ins and outs,
Yeah.
When you got 4 teams there, you're like, okay, we don't really want to go sit and hang out with them because this team might think we're like favoring them, or this team might not feel like they're getting enough attention. But Stephen was like with us the last couple games, just like feeding us a bunch of stuff.
Love that.
Yeah.
Shout out, Stephen, one of the best. College baseball fans, if you care about the tailgate as much as the game, like we know Murray State does, Louisville's in Kentucky too, though. We know they do too.
Yeah.
If that is the case for you, Turtlebox is here to help. The outdoor-ready, waterproof Bluetooth speakers pack a loud punch with premium sound that's built to be drop and crush proof, perfect for tailgates and those unpredictable weather days. As the official speaker of D1 Baseball, Turtlebox takes your tailgating experience from ordinary to epic, no matter where you are. We're talking an awful lot of LSU for an ACC show, but I think this giveaway is still happening over on D1 Baseball Social. It's a purple and gold Turtlebox. I don't know if it's got LSU insignia on it, but it is an LSU colored Turtlebox speaker that looks awesome. So if I don't know, maybe you root for a high school team or something that has purple and gold, or you're a Lakers fan or whatever, like, I don't know, seems to me that'd be fair game. So go check that out at D1 Baseball.
Gosh, can we enter to get this giveaway?
See, I want to get a Turtlebox speaker that is our blue and red. So if you're watching, you see it on the background here. I would love a blue and red Turtlebox speaker for us to give away. I think that would be cool.
That would be fascinating. These
decisions are over our head. So if you're listening and you're thinking, well, why don't you just do it? It's not that easy. We could effort such a thing. We got some time, summer, off season. There really is no off season in college baseball anymore because we've got new coaches and transfers to talk about too.
Yeah, the portal's going nuts right now.
Yeah, but this is as much of an off season as we get. So, maybe we get a little creative and do some fun stuff. We'll see. No promises.
Or whatever listeners or watchers want a Turtlebox, maybe they send a message to the Turtlebox and D1 or something. I don't know.
That's it. The power lies within the people. So
that's right.
People can make this happen probably better than Danny and I can.
Yes, for sure.
So let's move on. We've got some new head coaches. It's sort of new. We know all these guys. So Brian O'Connor leaves Virginia, takes the job at Mississippi State. He is filled in that Virginia vacancy by Duke head coach Chris Pollard. So Pollard from Duke to Virginia. Corey Muscara, the pitching coach from Wake Forest, becomes the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils. And then Danny Hall retired from his spot at the helm at Georgia Tech. Assistant James Ramsey, sort of as we thought, becomes the head coach there. So we do technically have 3 new head coaches, but they're all people we talk to with regularity. They're our people. We just shuffled some people around in different seats.
Yeah. It's going to be weird seeing these coaches in different hats though.
a little. I said it when they debuted Chris Pollard, and granted, we haven't seen him in a uniform yet. We've only seen him in the V with the Sabres on it. like polo shirts and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's tough for a guy coming off of a 12-year stint at a conference rival to like look normal in that. But I don't know, something just like felt right to me looking at Chris Pollard in the Virginia getup.
Yeah, I think Chris Pollard, anywhere he goes, I think he would look normal. A few years back, there was talk of him going to Miami. I think he would have looked the part with Miami stuff on. He just has that about him. He just has head coach. He needs a hat that just says HC or manager, whatever they call him in college baseball. Head coach, right?
Yeah, he's a head coach. Yeah.
What's really going to look weird to me is, and we won't see him as much as Brian O'Connor in Mississippi State. And he doesn't have to, travel around the ACC and look different in front of other ACC teams. But the Mississippi State, I'm so happy for him because of what he's going to be able to do at that school that he probably wasn't able to do at Virginia. But
yeah,
that's different. That's different to me.
It definitely is. I'm comparing the towns of Charlottesville, Virginia, and Starkville, Mississippi, and it's a different job, man. That is a different job. But that said, we love Oak. Very excited for him to get that opportunity, and I'm glad we kept the guys that we like in the ACC. I mean, Chris Pollard, as you mentioned, has been coveted as a coaching candidate for several years now.
Yeah.
It's cool that he gets to make that necessary jump, but also we get to keep him within the ACC.
Yeah.
Corey Muscara, who we love, the pitching coach from Wake Forest, has been coveted for the past couple of years as a head coaching candidate at some places that we would not see much of him had he taken those jobs or gotten those jobs, right? It's cool that we get to keep him in the ACC, and we've got him at Duke now. And then James Ramsey, an ACC legend before any of this coaching stuff, he fills the seat at Georgia Tech in Atlanta and becomes the guy, which we've anticipated for several years, but you don't know until it happens officially that it's going to be the case. So it's they're all three really, really cool moves to me.
Yeah. Speaking of Ramsey and filling seats, isn't he going to fill this seat soon?
Yeah, the next time we release an episode, I will be talking with the new Georgia Tech head coach, James Ramsey. I'm glad you mentioned that because it's official. It's in the books. It's happening. Nice. And it'll be exciting. And of course, we have our necessary asks in as well with Pollard and Moose. They got some stuff to deal with, moves for both of them. You got to re-recruit some guys. Eric Becker, by the way, re-recruited successfully back to Virginia. That's a big get, a big keep for Pollard and his staff. When it seems like most of the guys transferring out from the Oak era are going to either follow him to Mississippi State or be elsewhere. But yeah, Moose has got some work cut out for him too, because that's just like the way of the world now, right? Your head coach enters, or I started to say enters the transfer portal. your head coach, air quotes, transfers, and anybody who's got eligibility left, who is a valuable asset, probably is going to go into the portal and at least consider jumping with that person. Or maybe you get in, you find your value, and decide to go somewhere else. So they both, again, Moose and Pollard both have their work cut out for them. So it has been expressed, hey, no rush on this, but when you can, would love to talk. That's kind of how we're doing it.
Yeah, and it might not be for a few more months because this is probably the time that they need to be real busy trying to build a team. But I think every college is doing that now. I mean, I bet LSU, even after winning the national championship last week, they're probably right in it too, like trying to figure out who's staying, who's going, who can they get. But I think at the end of the day, we have total faith in Pollard and Moose to bring in the guys they need to bring in to be successful. Now, obviously, I think Moose has a little tougher job bringing in guys. But I will tell you, like, the Duke pitching is going to be different than what it has been. And it's not a knock on any of the coaches that's ever been at Duke as pitching coach, but there's something about Moose getting the most out of the pitchers that he works with.
Yeah,
whether it's mental or physical, he gets everything out of them.
Yeah, and this is, if it's appropriate here to mention, Pollard took basically his entire staff with him. So Brady Kirkpatrick, who we really, really respect, and like, coming from Duke, goes to Virginia. It's just a different philosophy from one coach to the next. And here's the fascinating thing about Moose. He's never been a head coach before. What is that relationship? What is that involvement with a pitching coach going to look like for him? I think that's one of the interesting things that remains to be seen. He's been so good as a pitching coach. You assume he will have some sort of control, oversight over a pitching staff.
Yeah. But
you have to hire a pitching coach. So there's going to have to be some collaboration there. And that's another difference too, is that, you know, Moose has to figure out the rest of his coaching staff, whereas Pollard basically took everybody with him. And that's one less thing for him to worry about there.
Moose has to worry. He has to worry about more than just pitching now, too. Like, he has to actually pay attention to the offense, give signs. He's got a lot on his plate. But
I'm dying to know if Corey Muscara is going to coach third base. I think that's you know what I mean. These are the little things that intrigue me. I think that'd be fun to see.
If I had to guess right now, I would probably say no, because he can't scream at anybody from third base coaching box.
Oh, you can.
And when I say, you can. You're right. Well, I guess nowadays you can't say anything from the dugout.
Or maybe you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, Moose is so animated and so, like, the energy is, I mean, you can't even explain the energy that he has. And if something went wrong and he's the third base coach, oh boy, watch out.
Yeah. No, it'll be a fun dynamic to the season next year for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that's new coaches. We lightly touched on transfers. If you're not hip to it, check out the transfer tracker at d1baseball.com. That's a good way to it's overwhelming to keep up with a lot of it. Thankfully, the rest of the D1 baseball staff do a fantastic job of that. Yeah. So, you know, if you're curious where all these former Virginia standout players are now that they entered the portal because their head coach, Brian O'Connor, is no longer in Charlottesville, check that out. We've already seen a number of guys follow O'Connor and leave the ACC, leaving Virginia to go to Mississippi State. And we've seen guys who will be on different teams, but still in the same league.
Yeah.
A lot of them from Duke to Virginia. And we've got some elsewhere that are other intra-conference swaps.
I'm looking at it now. It's insane.
There's a lot.
So as of yesterday, 6 Tennessee players jumped in the portal. Henry Godbout is in the portal. This is a lot. I love it.
There's a lot. So anyways, transfer tracker, d1baseball.com. Otherwise, it's kind of too much for us to talk about.
Yeah, it really is. I need to shut this down because I'll just
I think again, once the dust settles, which will happen at some point this summer, the deadline for a player to get in the portal is July 1. So
that's a week from in about a week
from a week-ish from today, 1 week from today. Exactly. So there's a deadline there, but then obviously they've all got to get committed places. We of course will follow the teams into the fall and see what the rosters then look like. And that's more of the appropriate time to sort of sift through all of the changes and things like that. Yeah. But no, it should be fun. should be fun. I know Florida State's already gotten a really good commitment out of a transfer. Trey Beard, he was Florida Atlantic's ace this past season. Really good pitcher.
Just stock up on the arms again.
Yeah, that's what they'll do. So anyways, I said we weren't going to talk about specifics, and I just mentioned a specific.
But you had to throw one in there. Come on. It's okay.
Yeah. What else do we have? Again, James Ramsey's going to join us next time. We're gonna catch up with former ACC players who are in the midst of doing great things as pros over this off-season stretch. As
Chase Burns making his major league debut.
Chase Burns making his debut. Nick Kurtz is on a tear with the Athletics. These are guys who were Wake Forest players last year. Insane. Guys that we saw in Omaha last year. Christian Moore, formerly of Tennessee, is now up in the bigs. Jack Caglione is in the bigs. It is so cool. It's so cool that the guys rise as quickly as they do now.
The guys that deserve to be up there, they're bringing them up.
Yeah.
And you love that because people always say that guys aren't spending enough time in the minor leagues. And I do agree with that to some extent. But guys like Caglione, Kurtz, Burns, they're ready. They're ready. And these teams are bringing them up. And you love to see that. Why would you let them waste bullets down in the minor leagues when they're ready to have success at the big league level? Yeah. I love that they're doing it.
I do too. It's great. I've talked on this show plenty of times, I think, about the connectivity between levels of the game. Mm-hmm. And to me, again, the minors were a formality to these guys. The quicker you can get them to the big league level so that, maybe a more casual fan has not seen them play in the College World Series, forgotten about them, and then they pop up again for a major league team. The tighter the gap we can make that, the better it is for the sport because of, guys budding as superstars like Nick Kurtz is. I mean, he's on an absolute tear with the A's. Chase Burns has been a menace to batters in the minor leagues. So if he's anything like we think he's going to be as a big leaguer, that's a big time arm. He joins another former ACC guy with the Reds and Andrew Abbott, who we like.
Who's dealing right now too.
He's been pitching really, really well. It's a fun time to be a baseball fan across all levels. It's really cool.
Yeah. Could you imagine like 2 years ago when Paul Skeens was the talk of the baseball world, if the Pirates would have let him just sit in the minor leagues for a few years, take your lumps and try to develop, like, not that people would have forgot about him, but he's the talk of the big leagues right now still too, because he was up so quick and because he's filthy and his team stinks, but he's still pitching great.
Well, that's just it. I think there's no longer room to tolerate. Hey, we've got maybe the most talented pitcher in the major leagues. Let's just let him sit in AAA because we want to manipulate service time or because we have to fulfill this age-old notion that he's got to serve. He's got to do his time, right? He's got to earn his keep before he gets the call up. I'm so glad we're getting past that.
Yeah. And there's still some players that need a little more time to develop. Paul Skeens doesn't need time to develop. Chase Burns doesn't need any more time to develop. Like when you're dominating, what else is there to develop? Okay, now develop in the big leagues. Develop against big league hitters, against big league pitchers. And that's what Nick Kurtz has been doing. Andrew Abbott came up a few years ago and he's learned to pitch at the big league level and he's dominating now.
Yeah. So, he was a pretty quick call up too. It didn't take him long.
No. And he's had some ups and downs trying to figure it out, but he's taken his lumps at the big league level because you could try to figure it out at the minor league level, but there's so many guys that go in and out of each team, each, double A, triple A. Guys are moving all over the place. You're never facing the same guys really throughout the whole season. And what developing do you get by continuing to try to pitch at the minor league level if you're ready? Because minor league level, AAA, there's guys that are 4A players, right? You know what that is. Guys that are so good in AAA, but can't figure it out in big league baseball. So they're 4A guys. Well, throw them in the big leagues and let them just wear it a little bit. See if they can figure it out. Develop them there.
Well, and sometimes guys, figure it out a little quicker and a little more, they're just a little more intuitive. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know that it's a surprise that Paul Skeens quickly became a top 3 starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. But, sometimes they can surprise you, right? And it's like, oh, you didn't have to take nearly as many lumps as I thought you might. That sort of thing. Yeah. So it makes all the sense in the world. That being said, too, and we're down a pretty significant rabbit hole here, but
that's okay.
I think there's a connectivity that the college game is a little more aligned with the pro game now, in the ways that we talk about Corey Muscara and Wake Forest's pitching lab. They are teaching pitching in a professional way there, and they're doing it. Wake's not the only program, but because we're talking about Chase Burns getting the call up, he benefited greatly from the pitching lab and the philosophy of Wake Forest's pitching coach Corey Muscara, and again, they are teaching. They call it the art of pitching in a very big league way. So I think the guys are drafted and signed to big league organizations with just not as much work cut out for them in a way.
Yeah. And I would almost say this NIL has been beneficial for the big leagues because you're getting guys not signing out of high school when they're definitely not ready to go into minor league baseball. More guys are going to college because of the chance to have NIL and get paid and get some money. And then by the time they're juniors, they've developed. Whereas those 3 years in the minor leagues, would they have developed making $900 a month, being miserable? Like more guys, I think, are going to college now to earn some money and to get better. So now by the time they're drafted, they're closer to being ready for the big leagues.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. I think that's it for us. You got anything else you want to touch on? I'm glad to see you're clothed fully for this one.
Yeah. I did get my clothes back finally. Almost 2 full days. And United was very kind. All the money that I spent at Lululemon got reimbursed. So, immediately when I filed the claim, they said it'd take 4 to 6 weeks, and it hasn't even been a week, and they've already refunded every.
So you essentially got that shirt you're wearing, I assume, is part of the haul. You got that for nothing.
Well, so
I mean, for your trouble, but
so here's the thing with this shirt. So I bought $700 worth of stuff at Lululemon, and just because, and. The Lululemon people, Julianne is her name. She runs the store there in Omaha. Last year, she hooked us up. She took care of a bunch of us, and we all got decked out, courtesy of Stephen Shocker. Yeah. He set this all up for everybody. So I contacted her again. I said, Julianne, none of my clothes made it. I'm in dire needs. I'm coming. Get ready to get that cash register going.
Don't be alarmed when I walk into your store without clothes on.
With the same clothes I had on 3 days ago, and I might be a little funky, but I'm coming. So I go and I pull up a bunch of stuff. Next thing you know, it's $700 or whatever. So glad to pay it. I need clothes. Well, this logo here, they will put this logo on any shirt that you buy, like t-shirts. I got one last year as a t-shirt. I wanted a collared shirt this year, so she put it on here.
For those listening and not watching, it is the Lululemon logo inside of a baseball diamond or a home plate.
A home plate, yeah. And so this was courtesy of Julianne, probably because I spent so much money. So this one was free.
Okay, all right.
But it's a very comfortable shirt. It cost a lot of money, and she put it on her tab. And this is the first time I've worn it. Like, I haven't worn it yet. I was gonna wear it in Omaha, but I was feeling really chubby, so I didn't put it on. It's funny because one of the shows I didn't have a shirt on. I wasn't feeling chubby that day.
Okay, good. I think there's a through line here with your meeting Bert Kreischer and realizing that you guys are from the same area to the point that you played against each other in Little League.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you reached out to him for advice. Like, hey, how do I be on TV without a shirt on and like be okay with it?
Well, he made me okay with it.
We have him to thank.
Yeah, when I did the bananas thing, I FaceTimed him, but he didn't answer because he's friends with Jesse Cole too.
Oh,
they saw him a couple weeks prior to that in LA. So, and they told him I was going to be there in Cincinnati, and so we were trying to hook up, but we never got hooked up. But speaking of hookups, I got to give shout outs to, I don't know if this is allowed, but I got to do it. Like my friends at Baseballism hooked me up with a bunch of clothes. And Evo Shield. The Bananas guys were there, and they knew I didn't have my clothes, so they're like, "Come here, we're going to Evo Shield." Evo Shield does all their uniforms and stuff.
Right.
Brought me into Evo Shield and told them my dilemma, and I showed them the picture of the show that I did the night before with no shirt on. They're like, "Take whatever you want." So I got a bunch of shirts from them too.
So you reloaded an entire wardrobe.
I did. And my bags coming home were too heavy because I should have known, right? So I had to adjust, and yeah, it was a debacle. And this is Mike Farron, and Bradley Smart always get on me about losing my luggage. Well,
right, because you check bags.
Yeah. So I might have to just keep losing my luggage because I get like so much.
It's true. I've never come out in the green in such a way because I don't check a bag. So like, I guess if you have the right resources, you lose a bag, you eventually got that stuff back, but also,
Yeah. Now I think if I would have got it back in a certain amount of time, it wouldn't have been as easy to get reimbursed, but it was over 24 hours. So that was 2 days of work.
Yeah.
And I had to do it. But thank you to United for taking care of my problems and making my experience a lot better.
Excellent stuff. That's a great way to close it out. We've rambled a lot here. We are clearly done with the baseball season in earnest. Therefore, the ETC, the etc. is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So, thank you for listening all throughout the season. Thanks for supporting college baseball and loving it as much as we do.
Yeah.
We might be a little bit more sporadic, just as a heads up, with episodes this off season. I mean, it is kind of off time. Again, James Ramsey will be with me next week. I'm looking forward to that, talking to the new head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. The other two new, air quotes, head coaches, Corey Muscara and Chris Pollard, will be with us at some point soon as well. And we'll catch up with some former players. We'll talk a little bit of big league baseball at some point, I'm sure. But it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to enjoying the summer and seeing what shakes out with the transfer portal and whatnot.
Yeah. Maybe we even talk about Little League baseball eventually. That's a tease, maybe.
That's a tease. Maybe we will. All right. He's Danny Graves. I'm Daron Vaught. Thanks for tuning in. This has been ACC Baseball Etc. Happy off season to you.